Hello guys, we are going to continue the discussion with respect to Python, and in this video we are going to talk about loops. Already in our previous video we have seen a lot of examples with respect to conditional statements like if, elif, else, and we have seen multiple examples out there, right? Now in loops we will be discussing about what are the different types of loop we usually use in Python programming language, like for loop, while loop, loop control statements like break, continue, and pass. Then we'll be discussing about nested loops, and then we'll be seeing like all these things we will be seeing much more in with the help of practical examples, and what are the common errors we usually face and how to avoid those errors. So all these things we'll be discussing in this particular video. So first of all, let's go ahead and work with for loop with a simple syntax. So in order to write a for loop, right, you need to understand what a for loop is. A for loop is a loop, right? It is used to iterate over a sequence of numbers. Okay. So let's say I will give one example like for I. Okay. I is just a temporary variable right now. Let's say I want to create a sequence of numbers. Now, in order to create a sequence of numbers, I will show you with the help of range. Okay. So what exactly is range? Okay. So let's say in this particular range, I give 5 elements. I basically want 5 elements over here. So this is turn actually help us to generate numbers between 0 to 5, right? So here you can see that, hey, I'm getting a range between 0 to 5 over here. And let's say I want to just display all these numbers inside this, right? Range is just giving us a sequence of numbers between 0 to 5. But if I want to iterate through this, all the numbers, I can basically use for loop. So if I write for I in range 5, right? And here, if I go ahead and print I, right? Now you will be seeing that after every iteration, first of all, when we are looping inside this sequence of numbers between 0 to 5, first it will go ahead and display 0, then it will go ahead and display 1. That basically means that after every iteration, this number is basically getting incremented and it is traversing through all this range of numbers. One important thing that you should understand, that since I've used range between 0 to 5, the last number is not going to get included. So that is the reason you can see 0 is here, 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here, and 4 is here, right? But the total number of elements is 5 over here. And here, in short, I have spoken about for loop and range as a function. Okay, so range as a function is also given. Let's say I want to probably use for loop with different range of numbers, right? Let's say if I go ahead and write 1, 6, that basically means I want the number between 1 to 6. 6 is the last number, so we are not going to include it, because at the end of the day, with respect to Python, whenever we are seeing indexing, right, it always starts with 0. Right. So I'll talk more about it as I go ahead. Now, if I go ahead and execute this, here you'll be able to see 1 is getting displayed, 2 is getting displayed, 3 is getting displayed, 4 is getting displayed, 5 is getting displayed. So I can also call all my range of numbers with respect to by giving numbers between one number to the other number itself. Right. Now, let me just give you more examples over here by using range. So if I go ahead and write range of 1, 10. And let me just go ahead and give some third parameter, right? So third parameter over here, you'll be able to see that it is something called as step. Now see the syntax. It shows start as the first parameter inside range function. Then you have the stop parameter. Then you have the step parameter, okay? By default, step parameter is usually given as 1. Now start, I'm saying, hey, start from 1. End till 10, right? End before 10. I'll not say till 10, but before 10. And use the step size as 1. That basically means only increment one number at a time. So if I go ahead and execute it, this will basically give me a range of value between 1 to 10, and the step size will be 1, right? Now let me just go ahead and make it 2. Okay, so here you can see that I'm starting from 1, before 10 it will stop, and here the range is 2. That basically means the two numbers will get incremented. Now let me do one thing, okay? Let me just write 1 over here, and let me use a for loop again. For I in range of this, and let me go ahead and print I. Okay, now when I'm printing I, you'll be able to see that what I'm actually getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now let me make this change from step size 1 to 2. Now what will happen? See, after 1, directly 3 will get displayed because we are going to skip one number. So it is just going to jump 2 steps ahead, right? Now see this. So now I can see 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? So I am not probably traversing to each and every number, but instead I've given a step size of 2, so it is jumping 2 numbers ahead, and that is how it is basically getting printed. Let me just show you one more example. Let's say that I want all the numbers between 10 to 1, But now this time I will use a step size of -1. Now what it is going to do? It is going to display a number between 10 to 1, and step size will be -1. That basically means after 10 it will become 9, then 8, then 7. See this? So here you can see 9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1 is not getting displayed, as we know that last number will be skipped. Before this, all the numbers will be displayed. One more example that if I really want to show it to you. So here you can see -2. If I'm using -2, so 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 2, 6, 4, 2. Right? So I hope you have got an idea with respect to for loops and with the help of range how we can actually move. Okay. Now let me show you with respect to strings. I hope everybody has learned strings, right? So strings, how to probably create string. Let's say that this is my string. Okay. This is my string. And here I am going to write Krish Nayak. Okay. Now, if I want to traverse to this particular string, now see, one amazing thing about this data structure called a string is that we can traverse to each and every character over here. So if I go ahead and write for I in str, okay, and for I in str, and if I just go ahead and print I, okay, so string is basically a data structure. It is just nothing but it is a collection of characters, right? Now, if I'm going to print over here, here you can see KRISH, then again space NAIK, right? Let's say that I'm traversing to this particular string, and I also want to do something like I may have a sentence, I may have a paragraph. So based on that also I can print it over here, right? Just to give you an idea what exactly this is, because string is a collection of characters, right? It is a collection of characters, and we can also traverse things. So the for loop main functionality is that whenever you have any collection items, like any collection data structure, you can traverse through it very much easily by just using a for loop, right? So I have just given you an idea about it, but as we go ahead, we'll be seeing more complicated example as we go ahead, right? But just to understand the basic example, this is what a for loop is all about. Now let's go ahead and discuss about something called as while loop, okay? So while loop. So now let's see something about while. So now I have while loop, okay? Now with respect to while loop, right? If I really want to give a small definition, this while loop is nothing but it continues to execute as long as the condition is true, okay? That basically means unless and until this while loop, whatever condition I'm writing in while loop, it is true, it is just going to execute it, okay? Now let me do one thing. Let me create a temporary variable called as count, okay? Count, okay? Now with respect to this particular count, let me just go ahead and write while count is less than 5, okay? And now I have gone inside my while block or while loop over here. So I'm putting this particular condition unless until this count is less than 5. Just go ahead and print it, okay? Let's say I'm going to print the count, okay? And after this, if I'm executing, see, I also need to increment the count over here. So I will go ahead and write count plus 1, okay? So what I'm doing, unless and until this count is less than 5, I'm going to print the count, and for every iteration, because we have initialized count is equal to 0. For every iteration, I'm writing count is equal to count plus 1, okay? Now see what will happen. If I execute this, you'll be seeing that 0 is getting displayed. Initially, I will be having 0. So when I write while count is less than 5, this is true. It is just going to print the count. So I'm going to get 0 over here. And then it is going to increment the count. Now my temporary variable count will have one value, right? I'll not say temporary, but my count value from this 0 has got incremented to 1. Then again this while loop will run. Why it will run? Because this condition is still true, right? So now here you can see when 1 is less than 5. So 1 is obviously less than 5 in the second loop. So again this will get executed. Then again this will get incremented. Then again it will go to the next loop. Then this will become 2, 3, 4. But once it becomes 5, right? While 5 is less than 5, now this becomes false. It is just going to come outside the loop, right? So that is how you are getting displayed with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So this is a simple way of probably displaying or understanding about the while loop. Okay. I may also write something like this. While, okay, let's go ahead and write count is equal to 0. Okay. Count is equal to 0. While count percentile 2 is double equal to 0. Okay. So now see this condition. What I'm saying, while count percentile 2 is double equal to 0. If this is true, right, I will probably go ahead and print the count over here, right? And let's say that I will go ahead and, or let me do one thing, okay? If I'm starting from count is equal to 0, and this condition is basically to check whether a number is an even number or not, right? So if I just go ahead and execute it, how many times this will get displayed? See, 0 is getting displayed over here, right? And it is continually getting displayed. I'll stop this, see, because I have not written any condition over here. So let me just go ahead and write count is equal to count plus 1, okay? Now, how many times it will get displayed? You just see this, okay? Only one time, because the next time it became 1, this count became 1, the 1 percentile 2 is not equal to 0, so it is just going to come outside of the loop, right, of this particular loop. This is just to show you an example over here, but we will be seeing with more amazing examples. First of all, let's go ahead and just see the basic syntax of for, while, and now we are going to go ahead with respect to loop control statements, okay? Loop control statements. You'll be seeing that, Krish. Please give more examples. Don't worry. After I probably make you understand all these things, then we will be seeing more examples as we go ahead. Okay. Now, with respect to the loop control statement, first of all, we'll discuss about something called as break. Okay. Now, if you really want to understand break, I'll just go ahead and write this definition. The break statement exits the loop exits the loop prematurely. Okay, what does this basically mean? I will just make you understand. Okay, let's say I want to write a break statement. Now, how do I write a break statement? So first of all, let's say I am going to run for I in range. Okay, please make sure that you understand the syntax for I in range of the collection. This is nothing but this is collection. It can be a list, it can be a dictionary, it can be range, it can be string, anything it can be. And let's say I'm writing 10. So 10 basically means it is just going to iterate from 0 to 1. Okay. For one of the condition, I'll say if I is double equal to 5. Okay. If this I is equal to 5, I don't want to probably, or I want to come outside this particular loop. Okay. I want to come outside this entire for loop. So I will go ahead and just write break. Okay. And once we probably write break, okay, it is probably going to come outside of this particular for loop itself, right? Now, one more thing. If I is not equal to 5, at that time we just need to print I. Okay, so now see, what is this entire code that I have actually written? For I in range of 10, if I is double equal to 5, I'm saying only when I is equal to 5, do the break statement and comes outside of this particular for loop. When I is not equal to 5, you just need to keep on printing the numbers. Okay, so now if I go ahead and execute it here, you'll be able to see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when 5 came, automatically we came outside of this particular for loop. Okay, and then after that nothing is getting printed. So we are exiting this particular loop permanently. Okay, permanently with the help of break over here. But this break will only get applied on any statement, on any condition as such, right? So that is why we are specifically using this break statement. Okay, this is one of the good examples. Again, now with respect to the another loop control statement, we also have something called as continue. Okay, so now we will go ahead and write continue. Now what exactly continue is, okay, and you also need to know this. If I really want to define continue, okay, continue statement skips the current iteration and continues with the next. Okay, so that basically means, let's say I'm going to write for I in range. Okay, for I in range, and let's say I write some elements over here 10. Okay, and now if I go ahead and write if I modulus 2, right, is double equal to 0. Okay, and this condition is basically just to check whether the number is even or not. If the number is even, let's say that I will go ahead and write continue. Okay, I will just go ahead and write continue, and then I will just go over here, print I. Okay, now in short, if I really want to make you understand, this is just like displaying all the odd numbers between 0 to 10, right? Do you agree with me or not? See what I'm doing over here. For I in range of 10, if I modulus 2 is equal to 0, that basically means this is an even number. We are just going to continue. Otherwise, if it is not, which is an odd number, we are just going to print it. So if I go ahead and execute this, you'll be able to see that I will only get an odd number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 between 0 to 10. right? And that is what is a continue example. With respect to continue, we are just skipping the current iteration. This will just skip. It will even not go to the print statement. It will just go ahead and continue the loop, right? So this is what is the power with respect to the continue statement. There is also one more amazing flow control that we use, that is basically called as pass. Okay, and you should know all these things because some or the other way we will be using all these things, right? Further when we'll be seeing multiple example. The pass statement is a null operation and it does nothing. Okay, it does nothing. Nothing means nothing, right? It will just say, hey, I don't want to do anything on a specific condition. Okay, so now if we go ahead and write for I in range of 5, let's say, okay, for I in range of 5, let's say I'm giving this particular condition. Okay, I'm saying, hey, if I is equal to 3, if I is double equal to 3, okay, then I'm saying, hey, just pass. Okay, do nothing. Okay, I don't want you to do anything over here. Okay, and then we are going to print I. Okay, now see what will happen. In this particular case, whenever I say, hey, whenever the number is even, just skip this for loop. But here it is saying do nothing. Just go ahead, right? Just go ahead and skip it, right? Now, if I go ahead and execute it, now see what is happening. 0 is getting displayed, 1 is getting displayed, 2 is getting displayed. When I is 3, again, I'm just saying, hey, skip it. So it has just skipped this if loop, right? Or the best way will be to print something like this. Okay, the number is, okay, I will write number is over here as I. Okay, now you'll be able to understand this. Now this pass, as soon as we do the pass, right, at that time what will happen? Now first of all, see, when I is equal to 3, it only this will get printed and we are just going to skip this, okay, or do nothing as such. So here you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, the number is 3, 3, 4, right? Pass in, it's just like a null statement. Suppose I don't have anything to give over here, I will just remove this and I will just write pass, do nothing as such. Okay, so this can also be useful, and again we'll talk about it, what exactly will be the use case over here, right? But most of them, if I probably consider pass, continue, or let's say if I'm probably defining an empty function, and if I define an empty function and if I internally write just pass, that basically means that the function does nothing. Okay, so this is some of the amazing things that have been brought by Python. If I talk about break, this will be very handy because on a certain condition, we are just going to break this or come out of this particular loop. We can use break, then we have continue, then we have pass, right? Now let's talk about nested loops. Okay, so let's talk about nested loops. Nested loop is nothing but a loop inside a loop, right? Let's say I will run a loop for I in range 3, okay, and let's say for j in range 2. Okay, now what I'm doing, and let's say I go ahead and print, and here with respect to the print statement, let me show you how you can use f string also. So f string is nothing but here I'm basically writing it out, and here I'll write I is equal to will be equal to I, and j equal to, it will be equal to j. Okay, so whenever we use this f string formatted statement to display the variables, we have to use this curly braces, and in short, this is just a formatting option of displaying the string. I can use this particular string together along with flower braces so that I can display that particular variable. Now what is exactly happening over here? See, it is very simple. Over here, you'll be able to see for I in range of 3, right? I'm iterating through another range over here, another iterables over here. Then I'm also running another iteration over here, right? So there are 3 elements over here. So first it will run this, then it will go inside this, and it will complete the inner loop, right? Inner for loop. Then it will go to the outside for loop. So first time when it gets displayed, this is going to get executed for the 2 times. Then it is going to go and increment the I to 2. Then again it is going to run it for 2 times for this particular j loop. If you don't know, if you don't understand, see over here. I'll show you with respect to the output. So here initially you can see when I is 0, j is 0. because initially when we are running this particular loop, right, and then when we go inside this particular loop, j will run for 2 times. So j is running for j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1. Then you have I is equal to 1, then again j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1. Then you have, when I is incremented to 2, j is equal to 0 and j is equal to 1. So it is basically going to run with respect to all the inner loops, right? And here this for loop, every time it will be executed based on the number of range that I have actually given over here, right? Whenever we enter the upper for loop itself, right? So this is just an example of for loops over here, nested loops over here, right? Now let us go ahead and see some examples, okay? And this is where we will practice multiple things. The first examples that we are going to do is that, let's say I am going to write over here, calculate the sum of first n natural numbers using a while loop, using a while and for loop, okay? So let me just go ahead and first of all show you with the help of while loop, okay? So first we'll see with respect to the while loop, and then we will go ahead and see with respect to the for loop, okay? What we need to do? Calculate the sum of first n natural numbers, okay? First n natural numbers, very simple. So now I will just go ahead and say, let's say that the number of n number, the natural number is 10. Then initially I will define my sum variable to 0. This will be my temporary variable, because the addition that I'm going to do with respect to all the natural numbers, I'm going to save it in this particular variable called as sum. Then I will keep this temporary variable called as count is equal to 1, okay? Now let's go ahead, okay? So here I'm going to write while, okay, count is less than or equal to n, right? Unless and until the count is less than or equal to n, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to use this sum is equal to sum plus count, right? So what we are doing over here, we are keep on adding the count, right? Unless and until this is not equal to less than or equal to n. And after this, we will go ahead and write count is equal to count plus 1. We are incrementing the count variable also. And finally, when this for loop is while loop is getting completed, I will write sum of first 10 natural numbers, okay? Natural numbers will be equal to nothing but whatever sum we are probably getting over here, right? Just go through the statements. Here we have initialized how many number of natural numbers we are going to consider. Initially the sum is equal to 0, count is equal to 1. Now I'm saying, well, count is less than or equal to n. I'm going to increment this count continuously unless and until this gets satisfied. Then automatically internally we are doing the sum also, okay? So here you can actually see the sum of first n 10 natural number is nothing but 55. Perfect. So this is just like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10, right? It will not go, it will go till 10 because we are written less than or equal to n, okay? Perfect. So this was one of the example. Let's do it the same thing with the help of for loop. So I will write, so let me just go ahead and define this 3 variables again, okay? So let's say for I in range, and here also I can just go ahead and write till 11 because I want to probably do from 0 to 10, okay? And here I'll just go ahead and write sum is equal to sum plus I. That's it, right? And here I don't even have to write this count is equal to 1, okay? Because automatically this will get incremented. So here let me just go ahead and print the sum, and if I go ahead and execute, I'm also able to get it 55, okay? So here I've shown you with the help of both while and for loop how you can calculate the first 10 natural number sum, and here you are able to see it, okay? Now let me do one thing. Let me show you one more example, okay? Now this time the examples will be talk about the prime numbers or display the prime numbers between 1 and 100. Now what is prime number? Prime number are something which is divisible by 1 or the number itself, right? Now here I'll just go ahead and write it down, and again for this I will use a for loop. So I'll write for num in range of 1, 101, right? Because we need the numbers between 1 and 100, right? If the first condition will be that I will go ahead and write if num is greater than 1, right? obviously the number has to be greater than 1. So one condition is over here. We're going to use if, nested for loops and all, right? Please pause the video, try it by yourself, and then probably see the solution. Okay. Now, if this is true, then what I'll do, for I in range 2 comma num. Okay. For I in range 2 comma num, that basically means from this number, from 2 to this particular number, whichever number we are specifically discussing, or from this for loop, which number I'm able to increment, I will just go ahead and write this particular condition. If num percentile I, right, I is the same number over there, right, is equal to 0, then we are just going to break it. Okay. And then we are just going to break and come outside this for loop, and I'm going to say else print number. Okay. We are just need to print this, because if this gets satisfied, right, this is basically indicating that, hey, I've got a prime number, right? And then it is just going to display the prime number. So again, I'm repeating. First of all, I'm going to check a condition. If number is greater than 1, then we are going to write for I in range of 2 comma num. Okay, 2 comma num. So we are incrementing the, so we are running through this particular 2 comma num. Whatever num is there, let's say the num is 3. So 2 comma 3. For range in 2 comma 3, then we can go ahead and write 3 percentile 2 is double equal to 0. The answer is no, right? If it is no, we are just going to go ahead and display this number, right? And if it breaks, it is just going to go outside this particular for loop. Okay. So that basically means if this condition is becoming true, right, that basically means it is not a prime number. Otherwise, we are just going to display the number in the else block. Okay. And one more thing about for loop is that along with the for loop also, you can write else block, right? Else block. If something you don't want to execute it, but you want to execute compulsory at the end of the for loop, so you can also use this else block. Okay. So once I execute this, here you'll be able to see 2, 3. So 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number, 5, 7 is a prime number, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29. All these are prime numbers. You can probably go ahead and check it out. Okay. These are like numbers which are only divisible by 1 or the number itself, right? So here you can actually see the example. Okay. Now some more examples that you will be seeing as we go ahead, where we'll be using when we'll learn more about different data structures like list and dictionary. But at the end, conclusion that I really want to give after every lesson, right? And let me make a markdown cell over here. Okay. So conclusion is that loops are really powerful. Okay. Loops are definitely very, very powerful. Okay. In Python, that allows you to execute block of code multiple times. By understanding and using for and while loops along with the loop control statement like break, continue, and pause, you can handle a wide range of programming tasks efficiently. And you'll be seeing that when we'll be discussing about more examples. But I really want to keep the video between 20 to 25 minutes where I show you multiple examples, where I write each line of code in front of you so that you'll also be able to understand. So yes, this was it from my side. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you.